Howdy and hello everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the Rolling Stock of California. In this series, I'll be looking at the various kinds of rolling stock used in my home state of California. In this 6th episode, we'll be looking over the history and use of the Comet 1B and Venture coaches. So, let's get started. Our story starts in the mid-2000s. Amtrak's state-supported service, the San Joaquins, was seeing higher ridership and thus more packed trains, with times such as Thanksgiving being especially bad, requiring the service to take some equipment from nearby services such as Surfliner. Because of these capacity issues, Caltrans and Amtrak began looking for coaches that could hopefully relieve the capacity issues on the service. However, because ordering entirely new coaches would take far too long, Caltrans and Amtrak decided they'd acquire coaches from other operators who didn't need them. Caltrans decided on NJ Transit, who had some Morrison Knudsen Comet 1B coaches and cab cars that they didn't need anymore and were willing to sell. Caltrans acquired 14 Comet 1B coaches for $75,000 in 2008, enough for two 7-car sets. Once the purchase was finalized, all cars were delivered to Amtrak's Beech Grove, Indiana shops to get modifications such as reclining seats with tray tables, luggage racks, and onboard Wi-Fi to name a few. A fun little note and now Easter egg to spot on these coaches' current form is that 12 of the 14 cars bought were cab cars that were renovated into coaches. You can still spot some remnants of the cabs these cars used to sport on certain car ends. The cars were planned for a July 2013 service start, however, due to the refurbishment taking longer than planned, the first Comet car train was put into service on the San Joaquins on October 21, 2013, with the second going into service on April 15, 2014. These sets were paired with a repainted Amtrak-owned Horizon coach that sported Amtrak California paint to match the Comet cars. The Comet 1B coach was entered into service on Amtrak's San Joaquins from October 2013 to April 2014. They have a capacity of 102 to 130 seated passengers, a top speed of 120 miles per hour, but in California are limited to 79 or 90, and were numbered 5001 through 5014. Once the Comet cars entered service on Amtrak San Joaquins, they could be seen on certain trains addressing the capacity issues Caltrans was trying to fight. However, one thing was for certain, these cars were old, very old, about 45 years old at the time, which for context is practically ancient for a rail car. And with Caltrans looking to modernize their trains, a replacement was in order for not just the Comet cars, but the younger bi-level California and California 2, more commonly known as Surfliner cars. For these new cars, Caltrans teamed up with the state of Illinois and Missouri, who were also looking for cars for their Amtrak services. So, Caltrans looked to Japanese company Sumitomo for a car replacement. Sumitomo then contracted Nippon Shario to build new bi-level cars based on the California cars but with modern improvements. However, the project began to face numerous delays, leading to mid-2015 where the project was almost 14 months behind. This, compiled with the prototype car failing the buff strength test, left Caltrans in a bit of a predicament. The project was now scheduled to take 2 years longer than expected, which was beyond the expiration date of the funds granted to fund these new cars. Because of this, Sumitomo dropped Nippon Shario and announced in 2017 that they had swapped them out in exchange for Siemens, coincidentally, a company Caltrans was considering going with in the first place. Siemens decided on their Venture coach, which they were preparing to enter into service on the brand new Brightline Intercity service in Florida. However, due to the sudden swap from Nippon Shario to Siemens, Siemens had to finalize the designs and specs for these coaches quicker than preferred, leading to some corner cutting. Granted, the design phase was helped with the fact that these coaches were already being built at this point for Brightline. However, this meant that when these coaches arrived in 2020, they were significantly lower quality compared to Brightline's coaches, with them also lacking the planned cafe and cab cars. This lower quality led to numerous issues during testing, with them finally entering service in December 2023. The Siemens Venture coach entered service in California from 2023 to the modern day. They have a capacity of 74 seated passengers, and in California were paired in 7-car-long semi-permanently connected coupled sets. They have a top speed of 125 miles per hour but are limited to 79 in California, have a weight of 112,000 pounds per car, a height of 14 feet and a length of 85 feet, with coaches numbered 9001 through 9049, cab cars numbered 9301 through 9307, and cafe cars rumored to be numbered 9801 through 9807. However, I cannot find any concrete info for that. Once 2024 went into full swing, the Venture coaches began operating relatively fine. Unlike their locomotive counterparts, the SC44s, so far their service lives have been operationally okay. However, response-wise from passengers, it has been mixed. While the coaches do have modern and spacious interiors, many passengers do not approve of the harder European-style seating, and they especially do not approve of the lack of a cafe car. While the seat hardness seems to be just a factor of their newness, as in some of my recent Venture rides, they have seemed much more comfortable with them being more worn in. The lack of a cafe car seems to be an issue Caltrans is looking to half fix, as there are rumors that Caltrans has scrapped the order of cafe cars and will instead be experimenting with unstaffed vending machine style sections of cars rather than a full-on cafe car. On the bright side, Caltrans did follow through with the cab car variants of these coaches, with them seeing sporadic testing at the time of me writing this video. Granted, with their own set of issues that has led to their service start seeming rather later than expected. While all this was happening, the Comet cars were still operating rather normally. That was, until the Venture sets began entering service, which led to the Comet cars being relegated to a backup set when maintenance was needed to be done on the Venture set. Because of their lack of use and because the San Joaquin sister service, Amtrak Surfliner, was in need of more service, on the night of June 27, 2024, 7 Comet cars along with NPCUs 9215 and 9225 were delivered to Southern California on the back of Coast Starlight Train 11, where they were put into Amtrak's 8th Street yard to be used as an emergency backup set when a bi-level set was not available. There have also been supposed talks that Caltrans wants to bring the Horizon coach that used to be used with the Comet cars back after it was sent to Amtrak's Beech Grove shops, so that the Comet car set can be used for daily Surfliner service, allowing for service expansions. In the modern day, the Venture and Comet cars are still seeing regular service on their respective services. Orders of the Venture sets are still arriving, with the plan to have all in service by 2026, allowing for the California cars to be passed over to Capitol Corridor and Surfliner for further service expansions, with the cab cars hopefully to be put into service soon afterwards. And the Comet cars are still seeing service on Surfliner over 50 years after they were initially built, with them to probably see service for many years to come. But with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this 6th episode of the Rolling Stock of California. Stay tuned for next episode where I'll cover the Siemens Charger and the EMD F125. So, I was 5008 Creations, you were the viewer, and I'll see you in the future. Goodbye.